Hello and welcome back to COVID-19 update. I hope you're all staying safe and well. We have just received a brand new update that from the 14th of September in the United Kingdom, social gatherings above 6 will now be banned. This is due because of a new sharp rise in cases. So, a new legal limit will ban larger groups meeting anywhere, socially, indoor or outdoor, the government have said. But it does not apply to schools, workplaces, COVID-secure weddings, funerals and organised team sports. It will be enforced through a £100 fine if people fail to comply with police, doubling up to a maximum of £3,200. Several exemptions apply to the new rules, which come into force on the 14th of September, with households and support bubbles bigger than 6 people are unaffected. A full list of exemptions will be published by the government later on. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to deliver full details at Downing Street News Conference on Wednesday. In a preview of his address, the PM said, "We need to act now to stop the virus spreading, so we are simplifying and strengthening the rules on social contact, making them easier to understand and for the police to enforce. It is absolutely critical that people now abide by these rules and remember the basics. Washing your hands, covering your face, keeping space from others, and getting a test if you have symptoms." Number 10 said that any group of 7 or more gathering anywhere risks being dispersed by police or fined for non-compliance. So at a glance, what are the rules? Social gatherings of more than 6 people in England will not be allowed in law from Monday the 14th of September. The new law applies to private homes, indoors and outdoors, and places such as bars and cafes. The rule does not apply to schools and workplaces or weddings, funerals and organised team sports. A full list of exemptions is due to be published before the law changes. People who ignore the police could be fined £100, doubling with each offence to a maximum of £3,200. Well, that's quite a lot of chances. The change applies to England only, to people of all ages and to gathering indoors and outdoors in private homes, public outdoor spaces and venues such as pubs and restaurants. The devolved administrations in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are able to set their own coronavirus restrictions, and while largely implementing similar rules, have moved at their own pace during the pandemic. Downing Street said Mr Johnson held a virtual roundtable with police forces, which heard officers wanted clearer rules and enforcement on social contact. Previously, guidance in England allowed gatherings of up to 6 people from different households, or up to 30 people from 2 different households. Ministers and government advisers early expressed concern over the sharp rise in cases, and a heartfelt apology was issued following shortages in England's testing system. Overall, there have been 8,396 new cases reported since Sunday, with 2,460 reported on Tuesday alone. There were also 32 deaths reported, but these will not have been related to most of the recent rise in cases. So the large gathering is basically the greatest risk. The rise in cases seen in recent days has caused alarm among ministers and their health advisors. They believe the UK is at a crucial point ahead of its onset of autumn and winter when respiratory viruses tend to thrive. Close contact within homes remain the most common risk of transmission identified by contact tracers. Clearly, people living with an infected person are most at risk, but after that, the most common contact infected individuals have is with visitors to their household, according to data gathered by England's NHS Test and Trace Service. It is ahead of leisure venues, shops, workplaces, and health and care settings. Clearly large gathering in homes, especially indoors, which is more likely to happen when the weather turns, present the greatest risk. Ministers will also make it clear on Wednesday further restrictions will follow if the rise in infections is not curbed. The UK government's chief medical advisor, Professor Chris Whitty, who Number 10 said backed urgent action in England, has said COVID-19 rates were now rising, especially among people between the ages of 17 and 29. He warned that if people stopped social distancing, then COVID would come back, and that people have relaxed too much. England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor Jonathan Van Tam, added, "People have relaxed too much. Now it's time for us to re-engage and realise that this is a continuing threat to us." In Bolton, Greater Manchester, a local rise in cases led Health Secretary Matt Hancock to announce immediate return of some lockdown measures on Tuesday. Among the restrictions imposed on the town was a requirement for hospitality venues to only offer a takeaway service and to close to customers completely between 10 p.m. BST and 5 a.m. It also became illegal for people in Bolton to socialise with those outside their household setting, outside their own household in any setting, even if it's outdoors. Schools in Bolton will continue to teach pupils as usual, the Bolton Council said, as its leader described how COVID was moving around the borough uncontrolled. Meanwhile, a new public campaign will be launched reminding people of the basics of washing their hands, covering their face, and giving each other space. Oh, quite outro. So basically it seems that the actual cases are rising quite rapidly. If you look at a lot of the graphs, they are rising very, very rapidly, not just in particular areas, but all throughout the UK, and it has led certain areas to already go into lockdown. So there is a place in Wales that has already gone completely into lockdown until after October, and places such as Bolton are getting more and more restrictions. Schools are the kind of like the last resort in things that they would ever want to close, so they're doing their best to keep them open for the moment. But it's a big change in which they're actually blocking gatherings of more than 6 people. But any more updates I will inform you about. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it very informative. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you stay safe and well in the coming few days, weeks and years. Thank you.